high school, each Sunday night, I'd watch the practice with none of my friends. I'd turn the dial to ABC to see the creep of the week that Bobby Donald defends. But I'm out of practice.
With your hosts, Keith Barney.
Out of practice.
And I'm Mike Integlio.
Yeah.
Way back in high school, most every night, my mom watched QVC, so I missed the practice. There was no TiVo, what could I do? Wait 15 years, get fat, then stream it on Hulu. Out of practice.
One of us is in the doghouse with his mother. The other one, hard no.
Out of practice.
Haven't been out of the house, haven't left the room, haven't put on
Out of practice.
And welcome to the Out of Practice podcast, a weekly podcast in which Mike and I discuss David E. Kelley's award-winning series, The Practice. This week, we are already in the middle of season 6. We are season 6, episode 10, Eyewitness. Boy, lots going on. How's it going, Mike?
It's going well, Keith. I don't know what to say. Jen's at the gym. I haven't left the house or put on pants yet. And that's how we're doing. It's been a busy week. Happy to be less busy today. That's all I have for you.
Wow, that is some riveting stuff.
Yeah, well, you know.
Hey, to the right audience, not my mom, you having no pants is something.
Yeah, well, I was trying to, we got that YouTube comment, which we will discuss
But
very
we're going to
shortly.
discuss it, don't worry.
And I tried to remember your brother's names. I was like, there's definitely Sean. What's his other brother? It could be his other brother in disgust that I would dare come at mom. But no, it was actually mom. So we might as well
Yep.
we might as well jump right in, I guess.
Well, you know what? Before we get into it, I think we should at least discuss. We don't you have the rundown? Don't you finally have the rundown now? Don't you know it's time for cat content?
Yeah, I forgot we had cat stuff, but they're always
We
We
nice.
have tried for years to make this podcast a success.
We failed.
It's time to give the world what it wants. Meow, meow. Hot cat content. Meow, meow. Hot cat content. Meow, meow. Hot cat content.
Yes. Well, I will be brief because we have to get to the hot controversy,
The
the hot
mom
topic.
content? You
Oh,
won't say
God.
that. You won't say it.
That's going to be the end of. I'm never going to speak to my mother again. But before we get to that, see what we're doing in radio now is we're teasing, so people will keep listening and be waiting. So after the commercial break, maybe we'll talk about it, the grand controversy. But no, first we're going to talk about Charlie because this week was my birthday, and I got, for the first time in my life, I got a present from my cat.
Interesting.
And I'm gonna show it to you here on the camera there. There it is.
Wow. Best cat dad ever.
He got me a T-shirt.
That's nice, man. I
Yeah, it
feel
was
like
very-
I feel like he didn't buy the t-shirt, but I don't want to break the immersion.
Don't you break the illusion? Are you kidding? You tell me that Santa cat isn't real?
I'm not telling you that, Keith. I'm not telling you.
Lies. Well, yeah, and very quickly, Jillian and I, we went all over New Jersey to various toy and comic book stores to buy Star Trek toys. So get ready for our next podcast, but there might be this one.
Oh, make this.
Yes.
That's more
Good.
high tech than the scanning effect I've used in previous episodes.
That's true. That's true. Well, it's already off to a terrific start. We're gonna, get even crazier. But let's get into it. Let's not, torture our audience any further and get into
Filings and subpoenas. Filings and subpoenas. Filings and subpoenas.
So coming up soon will be a very strong objection. But before we do that, see, I'm teasing. I'm working our way into it.
You're doing well. I like it.
We are going to hear from, of course, our good friend and moderator, Phoenix Cage, who has a couple of things, including an appealed. But first, he says, we were talking about last week Inter Arma Silent Lieges with this sort of inscrutable ending. And if you remember, because, if you're watching this, you definitely remember, we couldn't even give it a score because the jury refused to give a verdict. So we did not give a score. But Phoenix did hop in with some thoughts. And he said, so I don't know what the episode was trying to do either, but I do know what my verdict on it would be above average. I know that my verdict on it would be above average. Whatever, I can't read. If for no other reason than because David E. Kelley had the balls to immediately confront the new wave of McCarthyism. Around the same time, Bill Maher simply pointed out that it takes no courage to be a drone pilot, and he lost his show for it. I also know that my verdict would have been what my verdict would have been if I were in the jury of Eugene's case. First, the lack of evidence of rape does not prove that it was consensual because it never addressed whether it could have occurred after she was bludgeoned. Ooh, good point. Second, I could buy that the guy was leaving her apartment at the time of her murder may not have seen him. But in order for the witness's description to match, it would have mean she was seeing another black homeless guy. Okay, now I've heard of someone having a type, but come on. I mean, if she were out there banging homeless dudes, I'm pretty sure someone would have heard about it. Maybe not her friends, but certainly the homeless community. Rumors would be flying, and then neighbors would notice this sudden influx of panhandlers lined up around her building. He continues to say, you brought up reasonable doubt on the case. He says, I was also on the side of reasonable doubt until I gave the witness's testimony a second thought. Then there's the fact that the defendant seemed really intelligent as he was confidently directing the strategy of the case. This tells me two things. One, that he could have thought up the elaborate story of the relationship. And two, he wouldn't have been homeless due to mental deficiency, making it more likely that a contributing factor such as mood or behavioral disorder caused his antisocial and or aggressive behavior. Now, Phoenix, I hate to contradict you, but in the episode, they specifically mention that he was back on his medication. So it seems like he definitely had some sort of mental illness, which was causing him to end up homeless. But when he was back on his medication, probably schizophrenia or something like that, which happens a lot. But good point. He says, of course, anyone can become temporary homeless solely due to circumstances beyond their control. But his photo at the time suggests that he had been homeless for quite a while. As I said, I don't really know what the message behind this half of the episode was. I would have liked if the jury had actually pointed out some of the information they didn't get, as I did with the post-mortem question. I suppose Kelley was just venting about the fact that some lawyers get so caught up in trying to outmaneuver the other side with jury manipulations that they forget to actually present the case, which I think probably was the point. And I will continue. Phoenix has one more thing before we get to the hot topic of the day. See? And we have...
Your Honor, that verdict was crap. The truth was concealed, it must be repealed, and now it's appealed.
What say you?
What say you? So, Phoenix pointed out that I was mentioning, I wasn't quite sure whether David E. Kelley was a lawyer or not, or whether he had just studied it. And Phoenix says, David E. Kelley not only studied law, but was a practicing attorney. A fact that I learned from you guys.
Yeah.
He practiced in Boston and graduated from Boston University School of Law. Yeah, I don't remember anything that I say on this podcast, for better or worse.
So it appears that we were the better podcast, becoming the lesser podcast, needing the old podcast to inform the current podcast through a podcast listener, which I think, Keith, brings us back to a bumper we haven't run in so long. And since it was probably you that brought up this fact, I'm going to make you sing it. You don't know what I'm talking about, do you?
I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
You see, back when we used to give actual pertinent information,
right.
and would fuck up. It was so rare that we fucked up that we had
I know. It's we haven't made any mistakes in so long. Now, I gave information previously on the show, but I don't listen even when I'm talking or later. But I'm not the better podcast.
Hey,
that was bad.
not your finest, but you know what? That's sort of the point.
I think what it really demonstrates clearly is that as the years go by and as we get older, we're slowly devolving into, the two old men from the Muppets. I don't like this show. I don't remember what I said.
Stop the presses. I believe they were Waldorf and Astoria, if I'm not mistaken, which is actually fits us even better, Keith, since we lived most of our friendship in Astoria. But
true.
Speaking of getting older, I feel like it's worth mentioning our friend and co-host Keith here just got older a few days ago. I don't have any videos or anything to celebrate with you. I just wanted you to know that we are going to say happy birthday live on the air. Not live, not actually on the air.
No.
But I actually needed to get reminded from my wife to make a post on our Instagram for you. So you should know that that's how much thought I put into it.
What my favorite part about that is in that moment, you remembered, oh, wait, it was Keith's birthday. Now, about 3 minutes ago, I talked about what I did on my birthday and getting a birthday t-shirt from my cat.
Do you want to know what I was thinking about in that moment?
Triggered for a second.
No, because
I almost ate a piece of birthday cake. You would not have remembered.
What I was doing was listening for the crackle, just so you know, because right before we started the show, you're like, let me know if I crackle. And so that's what I was doing. I was listening hard for the crackle. I missed all references to your birthday. I
talked about the whole day.
The cat,
the present from the cat.
Yeah. But I was more worried about the audio, which will be shit anyway. Doesn't matter.
It just dawned on you that I had a birthday. I was wondering why you sort of blew it off. Oh, good Lord.
Speaking of blowing it off, we should talk about your mom.
Oh, okay. So,
should I set the scene?
I think you should. Yeah, I think you did the crime. You have to do the time and set the scene.
So, look, listen. I've met Keith's mom a couple times. She's watched Keith and I make out. She's
listening right now.
We sat next to each other at a presentation of I Got Fired when it was at NYMF. You should know that before you went off. I sat next to your parents.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think it was closing night of NYMF because they were loading out when I left the theater.
That would have made sense. Yeah, they were there for the closing show. Yeah. Should tell you about the panic attack I had before that performance. But anyway.
Can't remember anything, but for some reason I remember that. Anyhow, last week I made a joke. In fact, I made a reference to a cougar or a puma. You made it. Yeah, I made a puma reference, which then you tied back to cougars, which somehow implied that I was hitting on your mom, which I would never do. But
you immediately said that's exactly what I'm doing.
Oh, well, you know what? I refuse to comment. Much like the jury last week, all I want to say is that apparently your mom heard this and was so disgusted by my advance, or my implied advance, that she threw her cell phone. She was hiking in the woods, threw her cell phone into the wood.
Yeah.
Rather than listen to the disgrace and disrespect. So I would like to formally apologize to your mother on the podcast, who I know is listening. Maybe one of 3 people listening.
That's true.
And let her know that there is no guarantee that I won't do the same exact thing in subsequent episodes.
Because you won't remember having done it the first time. Well, I'd love to say that's the end of it, Mom, because I know the thing you hate more than anything is just being talked about. But you actually took the time to log into YouTube and make a YouTube comment, which I didn't even know you knew how to do, but you have a very strong
Objection!
There will be an appeal.
Objection!
Oh, I forgot that one. I like that one. Did I make that?
You made that one.
Yeah, it's hot.
This is the episode. Last week we jumped the shark. This time we just fell into full dementia.
Did I do that? Did you do that? Did I say
Where
that?
are we?
What did
What
you
is
say?
this?
Who's David E. Kelly?
What's this about?
What's
Oh,
his job? What did your mom say, Keith?
She says, "Okay, you wise guys. Yes, I was hiking in the woods on my third trip up and down the trail. Yes, I did throw my phone into the woods and had to recover it and brush off the dead leaves. Thank you very much. I want you to know you are incorrect regarding the puma. A puma, a cougar, and a mountain lion and a catamount are all essentially the same animal. I am wary of all, and I think this is for you specifically, Mike, in all caps. Stay away!"
So not only does she rebuff my advances,
She does. You, sir, have been rebuffed.
she educates me. She basically calls me stupid for not knowing my my feline etymology. But also, if I'm not mistaken, thinly veiled, not so thinly veiled in those first few sentences, she fat shames both of us. Oh, while you guys are sitting on your asses podcasting, I've already done what? How many miles is that up and down the trail? I don't know the trail, Keith. You probably have a better semblance of what it is.
It's a significant hike. I'll tell you what. It's like,
to listen to this whole show, it must
they're
take...
on the side of a mountain. They live basically on the side of a mountain. It's a 65 acres all the way up to the top and then back. It's a pretty significant, like I do it once and I'm feeling it. Like I'm ready to like go take a nap, and she does it 3 times.
All right. Well, let me just say this, Mrs. Varney. Message received, immediately ripped up and thrown in the trash. I'll do what I damn well please. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm going to have an awkward conversation with my mom later.
All right. Anything else? Oh, yeah. Phoenix then chimed in and let us know that he also knows what a puma is, which thanks, everybody. Sorry. I thought they were shoes.
Okay. Well, we'll see how much of that she makes me cut. And let us move forward in the show. Finally, for everyone's sake, we are going to hop back into the time machine safely back to the year 2002, because we clicked over from 2001 to 2002. We had a month off on the show, so we are now talking about January 6th, the year 2002, and it brings up everyone's question. Mike, what were you doing
This day in the basement?
Well, Keith, I was dating a very nice young woman at the time. She has
Her name was not my mother.
No, she has herself subsequently jumped the shark in life.
What does that mean?
You know what? It's for a different show.
I want to know exactly what you meant.
Talk less politics, and so
what
I'll
horrible thing did that person do or have done to her?
No, she's doing well, and I hope. I don't know. We don't really speak. But regardless, at the time, she is from Denver, and we went to Denver. I went out for the New Year that year with her to visit her mom, and we saw her brother in an opera at the Denver Opera. I'm trying to remember which opera company it was, but I do not remember. He was excellent.
Cool.
And we had a great time. It was one of the only 2 times I've ever been to Denver, and both times were absolutely wonderful. Denver's awesome. Apparently you can't live there anymore, especially in the nice like boulders and stuff, because the Google went there, and now the housing market is like
it's crazy,
exploded.
Not to keep bringing it back, but my mother was born in Denver.
Well, there you go.
How about that?
It was really great. We had a great trip, and then we had gone to school together. That's how we met, and that was cool. That was a good time. That was my New Year 2002. Keith, you've got some things to share.
I do indeed. Well, I teed it up a couple of weeks ago, but this very New Year, I was performing in Bedazzled it's a fundraiser, I think, up at the Stowe Theater in Stowe, Vermont. And I have here the program. And
Let's see that mugshot.
What's that?
Let's see that mugshot.
There's no headshots. They did have my bio in here, which of course I hadn't done anything yet. But in that performance, what I remember best was I sang and played accompanying myself on the tune Out Here on My Own from Fame. And it was the first time I'd ever played and sung live in my entire life. And so I found the original sheet music that I used. And of course, the sheet music, it was originally sung by a woman. So I had to transpose the sheet music. And so I just wrote the chords in on the top. You can see in the blue there, I wrote the chords in. And I basically took it down a whole step and then sang it up the octave. The problem was, I just sat down to play it this morning. So I was curious, like, do I even remember it? Which I didn't. I didn't remember the song at all. And here I was about 5 months from graduating from the Eastman School of Music.
Uh-oh.
And I'm looking at the chord symbols I wrote, and so many of them are wrong. And if I actually played what I wrote on the sheet, it would be utterly incomprehensible. So I was kind of surprised, but I really enjoyed the experience. I don't do it hardly ever anymore, but I enjoyed the actually playing and singing.
The first time I played and sang live was my senior year of high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time. I mean, guitar. Like, this is the first time I ever played and sang. I was in that band, but I never played and sang myself until my senior year of high school. Interesting.
Like
Which
solo,
I think
yeah.
actually we might have talked about on the podcast. Anyhow, that's
Well,
cool.
you did better than I. That was senior year of college when I did it.
Well, there you go. We are that tracks for you and I.
Yeah, that
Late
definitely.
bloomers. Late
Well,
bloomers.
I just wasn't that. I have never been a good pianist. I have learned to be serviceable. You know, I play. I get the feel of it right. Like I feel like I have all the energy and the intent, and I get the vibe of the song. I just play a lot of wrong notes,
Yeah, well,
which is
I hear ya.
that's why I only play my own stuff now because
Learning to
no
be
one can judge me.
serviceable. The Keith Varney story.
Truly, the quest for serviceability. All right, well, let us service our audience by moving forward to...
It's time for the Out of Practice Podcast's This Day in the World. The greatest hits, the biggest movies, headlines from Vermont, essential sports updates, and for some inexplicable reason, the weather from 20 years ago. Now back to Keith and Mike.
Oh boy, we're talking about January 6th, the year 2002. And are you like, hey, is that Nickelback? Hell yeah, it is. How I remind you of how you remind me. The Nickelback song, which was number one. And of course, the cover of the Berlin Free Press talked about a teen pilot crashes into a Tampa bank.
Oh.
That was national news at that point. And the top movie, we are in a long string of legendary films from this era, back to back to back. We had Harry Potter, we had Ocean's 11, and this week it's Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, in its third week of domination, taking in $23 million. Did you saw that one in the theater, yeah?
Yo, yeah, hell yeah.
So much fun. And that was sort of like the boring one of the three, but it's such good storytelling. All right. Now it is time for everybody's favorite segment.
It's time for sports.
The New York Football Giants finished off a very disappointing season with a 34-25 loss to Brett Favre and the Packers, dropping to the final record of 7-9. Terry Collins threw for 386 yards on 59 attempts. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia Football Eagles won the division with an 11-5 record, beating the Bucs 17-13 behind quarterbacks A.J. Feely and Corey Detmer. Both teams played a lot of backups as their teams had already secured playoff berths and would ironically be playing each other again next week in the wild card round.
You know what is weird? I don't know why. We've been doing it for years now, but like when I hear about football, but we're not in football season, it's very weird to me.
It's weird to you?
It just feels so far away Football season feels like it lasts forever, but then when it's not football season, it feels like it's so far away.
So, do you remember what football is, Mike? It's a sport, and they throw this ball around.
Mm-hmm. Is there a joke part of this, or is this? Shall we do the podcast? First of all, I can't wait to talk about the podcast because I need to know what the hell is over my mouth in the two shot, which we're about to go for. Like the Easter egg has me baffled this week. So let's go over to it.
Soon enough.
And give me the finger cue, because I don't ever get the finger cue.
Give me the finger cue. Yeah. Okay. All right. I have to find it first now, because I'm in the wrong place. Here we go. And here we go. And
I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
It's time to talk about the damn episode.
Okay.
What is this?
Well, you're going to find out. You'll figure it out. It's going to be a thing.
All right. I'm calm.
You're going to figure it out. Just relax. Just relax. And by the way, if you see my personal Easter egg, that's a Brad Marchand jersey, because the Bruins are up 3-1 over Washington. Boom.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's get to the second round.
Yeah,
All
totally.
So,
Hockey.
Sports ball. This episode is season 6, episode 10, Eyewitness, and it is written by David E. Kelly and Peter Blake. Peter Blake last wrote on the case of Harlan Bassett, and directed by Dwayne Clark, who last directed Vanished Part 2, which means we only have one last thing to do.
What is that supposed to mean?
What's your problem?
Is this what happens to women when you insert your penis?
What?
What does Mike think's gonna happen?
You know, what if he would have drank the curdled milk? Then what would have happened?
Well, Jimmy. This week there is a murder, and not only is there a murder, but there is only one. There is no forensic evidence. There is but one key eyewitness. But Keith, here's the problem: that eyewitness, for reasons which I don't want to spoil. All right. Isn't talking. See, hold on. We'll get back to my pitch. CEO Jen, come on in.
What's up, Jen?
I'm literally listening to you guys as we speak.
Wait, she says she is literally. Come on in. Come on. Join the podcast. Into the camera.
Jim.
People have to see.
She wants to
All
be
the way
associated with this as much as my mother does.
She says she is. What are you listening to on your earpods at the gym, CEO Jen?
Like 6 episodes ago, the Joanna Gleason.
Come on in.
Okay.
Hi, Keith.
Hey,
Happy
Jen.
birthday.
Thank you. I'm glad you remembered. You'll understand that better later.
She's listening. She's 6 episodes back, but she's listening.
Yeah, Jimmy's at the game. He just bet $12,000.
Oh, no, Jimmy.
Bookie from the last ship. That's the name of the Sting musical.
Don't worry, it's wrapped up nicely.
Have fun.
Jimmy comes out all right. We
forget about it. Don't worry, we'll forget.
All right, so where was I? Oh, yes, the eyewitness does not want to talk. And this eyewitness can refute the accusations on our client, Keith, that we are defending. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So hold on. We've gone to sexy pitches, right? So
yeah. What's the sexy part?
hold on, I got it. Got it. All right. So, you know how last week Bobby was like, was it last week? Recently, Bobby was flirts with Black Widow.
Right.
Well, so this week, Keith, you know that one time we sent Lucy in to like show a little midriff in order to like get some info?
Right. That was very uncomfortable for everyone.
Well, buckle up, because this week we're sending Lindsay in, and she decides she's going to be flirt with the eyewitness in order to convince him to testify to defend our client. Lindsay gets back at Bobby by being flirty flirt with an eyewitness who can seal the deal for our case.
Okay. All right. You know, that's pretty good. I appreciated a while ago you were trying to do a spoiler alert on your fake pitch.
Right.
Which spoiling your imagination.
Yeah, well, we don't want to give away everything I'm thinking about. Trust me.
That is the truth. That is the understatement of the year.
Oh, shit.
All right, folks, it is time to hop over to your favorite podcasting service of choice to listen to us. Listen to the Practice Season 10 episode, Season 6 episode 10, Eyewitness.
And we are
back, baby. Mike would not let us show his mistake. Other than the entire podcast.
Yeah, right. We don't need to show it.
Okay, well, we are back from watching the episode. It is time to fill in the folks who just like, you know what? I'm just here for those two dudes talking and fill you in on what we're talking about twice. First up with the segment.
Mike has 30 seconds to remember what just happened on the show.
Ellenor's pissed, baby, and she should be, because this like old friend of hers who's also a DA like says, show me your boobies or have sex with me and I'll give your client a deal, but she doesn't get a deal. And then Ellenor's like, oh my God, she admits it in court and she's like, this is terrible. And then Kittleton's like, suck it up, basically. Then this other guy, he looks guilty, but then there's a priest and he's like, I know who actually did it. Wasn't this guy. And then it turns out, oh my God, the guy gets found guilty, but then the judge is like, no, he's cool. And then the guy's making out with the priest and it turns out it was all bullshit.
Yeah. Fair enough. That's as clear as the episode was. And now, could you just tell me all of that again, but in just, fewer syllables? Yeah, and it's like a song or like a graphic you could do?
Yeah, but the song's gonna be really loud.
Oh, good.
The Reverend knows who. The jury will never know. Love still sucks for Frut.
Yeah. Again, those are really excellent. I at the end of the season, we'll do like a season in our season recap. We should just recap all the episodes in their haiku-psies.
That's a good call.
That's good because it'll be good for us because we don't remember any of them. We don't remember what we've said on the podcast. We don't remember the shows themselves. We don't remember where we are or what's happening because this episode is brought to you by Dementia. Okay.
Wait, hold on. We're doing it early. I'm wearing a priest collar.
There you go.
Holy crap.
It took you that long.
Oh, man. That is really funny.
Took you that long.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, the Out of Practice podcast, in unofficial, unsolicited, unfactual association with David E. Kelly Productions, proudly present
Oopsie.
The Oopsies! Celebrating excellence in acting good, lawyering good, guesting good, and being Tom Brady. Not to mention, this is where we rate the episode and stuff. Now, here are your hosts, Keith and Mike.
What the hell are the Oopsies?
Well, Jackie, they're a fake award show that we do at the end of every episode that begins with Most Valuable.
Wow. Well, Jimmy, Lindsay, they really got a murderer off for real. But in doing so, but they did it with all the right intentions, which is a flip for them.
Mm-hmm.
Ellenor went through some shit and did And even though she could have not said anything, she could have had sex with the guy, she could have done a lot of things. She actually played it damn straight, and it is, and you know, she did the right thing, the ethical thing, even sacrificing her friendship to do the ethical thing, and tried to get the best possible deal for her client. And it seems like the episode implies that the future, and Helen even agrees that they will get the best outcome for Ellenor's client. I'm inclined to award it to Ellenor.
Yeah, I was going to make the case for Lindsay because she was able to, even though the whole system was being played by this couple, she at least was able to set up the situation that led to the judge overturning the verdict. But no, I think you're right. I think even in my own subconscious bias, I downplayed the work that Ellenor did because of how shittily she was treated. But even as she was dealing with this incredibly shitty situation that she was in, she fought for her client at cost to her personal life and feelings, and like she sacrificed for her client, for the truth, for herself. And yeah, I think it's Ellenor. So congratulations, Ellenor, front on your MVL. Next up, okay, here we go. Ready?
Already famous cause you've been on TV, getting a paycheck, or the first entry on your IMDb. Way to go, and you're the best guest actor. You are the best guest actor. You are the best guest actor on the episode.
See, I got a little Father, Son, Holy Ghost in there.
Ooh, well done.
Yeah, man, it's topical.
Topical. Man, we're really firing on all cylinders right now.
Well, actually, I gotta say, I feel like it's been a good episode. I don't know. I could be brain dead. I'm just trying to stretch it now because I got to go do that run after this, and I'm like, ugh.
That's right. You're gonna filibuster your run.
I'm also feeling like a bad husband, Keith. I got to be honest with you. I'm sorry to do a side note because, like, I'm so used to CEO Jen like making me lunch, and I should have just been like so happy with my apples and peanut butter. But then, I really just have been expecting for the past 40 minutes that more food was coming. Like it's owed to me. And she doesn't owe me anything. I can go make my own goddamn lunch.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, you are a bad husband. So your feelings, I want to validate your feelings.
Okay, great. That's good. I feel like you're my priest. Okay, so maybe you might disagree with this. We might have a split seat, but here's what I saw. Like, okay, first things first. I feel like the gentleman who played Mr. Habanera, what was his name? They said his name.
Miguel is played by Douglas Spade.
Miguel, yeah, he was great. I mean, he played the victim who wasn't a victim, but I bought it, right? So he fooled me, which was great. I also thought the Reverend was also played well.
Tim Guinea.
He played the deceit very well. I thought that the sexually harassing DA friend of Ellenor was also a great dirtbag.
Scott Cohen.
Yeah, Tony LaRussa, not Tony LaRussa, Tony Romero. But I would like to actually award it to the titular, well, not titular, but the actual eyewitness. Played by
Sybil Darrow.
Sybil, because Keith, she had to play basically all subtext. And she didn't give us a big weepy performance, and she gave us a very composed. She read, and this is not easy to play because it's not very active, right? She had to play a woman who was traumatized and who was grieving, but had to pull her shit together and say what happened to her husband and point the finger at the guy who did it. And then she was grilled, right? And during that grilling, they tried to poke a hole. They tried to poke a hole in her testimony by saying you're too confident. And yet, though there was some doubt because she was being called out, she still held firm. And that one scene, I just thought that's excellent because it's not showy in any way, but it's difficult. That's hard to do and play correctly without going into hysterics, and also still keep let the script and the other performances still cast you in a light in which you seem like you could be either racist or just wrong. But at the end of the day, now re-examining the performance, she was right all along. And viewed through that lens, it still holds up, right? You can't poke any holes in it. And so for that ironclad performance, I'd like to award it to Sybil, last name.
Darrow. Yes. Well, I think that's a good case. And I think you make a good point. I think I'm going to go with Tim Guinea as the Reverend. I thought he, if this wasn't the 15th time this had happened on the series, I'd be like, oh, how interesting, how cool. Like, he played it so well, and he, like, clearly not just the actor is a good actor, but the Reverend is a tremendous actor.
Yeah.
And I thought gave an incredibly credible and believable performance through this whole thing. And it is interesting that this whole episode pivoted around the acting ability of this Reverend, who actually played it really, really well. My half's going to go to Tim Guinea.
Okay.
So congratulations, Sybil Darrow and Tim Guinea, on your Best Guest Actor Awards. Now it's time.
You killed your podiatrist or blew the case, but you let a single tear run down your face. You're the best actor on the show.
I think it's Ellenor this week. I think that Cameron, just for that last scene alone, she had to deal with the crap. She took a lot of crap this episode, but she was defiant in the face of it in the courtroom to Kittleson, and then to Rebecca, who was just trying to be friendly. But guess what? That "oh, poor you," like, sometimes I don't need saving. And that's a beat you don't get to see very often in television then or now. So I think we'll talk about that later. That's probably my favorite beat of the show, of the episode. And Cameron, as always, is excellent. And thank God to see her get to do her thing, because it's been a while this season. So you're damn right you get another Oopsie. Enjoy it.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's Cameron's episode, and I thought she did a really, really good job. I mean, I think the strength comes through, the vulnerability comes through. Again, I'll get to it at the end with the, both stories are mining that well we've pretty much tapped out. But I do like showing Ellenor with that strength, and Cameron. Here's the thing about Cameron's performance: no matter what bullshit David E. Kelley puts Ellenor through, Cameron is always going to give her strength and dignity, and I think that is the strength of the character. Minus that, it'd be, with a weaker actress, this would be a pretty dopey storyline that she has gone through, and she has elevated what her character has had to go through. So congratulations, Cameron Manheim, on your Best Actor. Whoopsie. All right, speaking of dignity,
the Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady.
I haven't seen last week's yet. I gave Keith an out. It was Patriot Brady, so we'll see what he came up. Well, you'll have already seen, but I will see shortly what he came up with. This week, I'm going to once again flirt with the line. We're not allowed to kill him, but we can insert him into murder scenarios. And so this week's Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady is Tom Brady creepily attending... Tom Brady watching a murder trial with glee. Tom Brady.
Tom Brady watching a murder trial with glee. Tom Brady wins the Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady. Man, I think I need to go to that sandwich shop.
Yeah, the egg salad sounded real nice.
I don't know. I want that hot dog and tuna. Let's do this. Ooh. All right, but before we do that, let us...
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to announce how many spare tires this episode gets.
I want to have a heart-to-heart with old David E. Kelley here, because somewhere along the line, and maybe it's because of ratings, and maybe it's because of pressure he's getting from the network. There are plenty of factors, but I feel like sometimes he forgets that a really well-paced, well-written procedural is good enough, right? Not everything has to have a huge twist or a gotcha at the end, or even have a ripped from the headlines thing, like last week's episode with the Patriot Act and after 9/11 xenophobic atmosphere. Sometimes a really good case argued really well is awesome. You and I talk often. We love just an A case. This week I thought that what's presented with Ellenor is interesting, and like you said, she brings she grounds it so much, and she brings so much dignity to it that I think we probably like it more than we would had it been in lesser hands or just tacked onto another episode. The A case here started off great. It asked some really interesting questions. It posed some really interesting problems. What if an eyewitness comes forward but is protected by privilege, yet we all know about it? What then? What does the law say? What does integrity say? What does the DA do with that information? A lot of interesting things to examine. And sometimes being left with questions without answers is helpful. But too often I find that he neuters David E. Kelley, the show, neuters the impact of it by making the person be found guilty anyway, or they win the case, but then the judge changes it, which is a trope that happens here. And then in addition to the judge giving us the verdict we want, or we're rooting for, let's say, that we're led to root for, they do the quick thing at the end, like the wife admits it was her all along, or the priest is making out with the guy. Like, it's just, if this was the only episode in a vacuum, yeah, that's cool. That's a neat twist. Oh, you fooled me. But there doesn't always need to be an I see dead people moment. And I feel like it just feels a little also ran. And look, you and I are watching this and we're not binging it, right? It's not like we're watching them all back to back to back to back, and so we're sick of certain tropes. We're watching it like people would watch it week to week. And so those tropes are starting to wear on me a little bit. That doesn't detract from what I thought was a pretty good episode. I thought the performances were good. I thought the questions were good. I liked really liked the Ellenor stuff. Although I will say that she played it so great. It still feels a little tropey in that the dirtbag lawyer character seemed like just stock dirtbag guy. Like there was nothing. I mean, the fact that you say we were friends, you're like, clearly you're not. Like, we don't know who this guy is, and he's clearly a D-bag. And I was really off-put by the way Kittleson handled it. Like, there was a better way to have that conversation. I get her point. You and I talked about it during the episode. Yes, it's true. That implicit bias is true. But then to make the whole thing like, oh, everybody's laughing at you behind... I don't know. I'm conflicted because I enjoyed it, but ultimately I just feel like it cuts itself off at the knees. And so at the end of the day, I think I'm going to have to say 7 spare tires.
Okay. Yeah. The thought that I had is, and like Jorge, let me know if this isn't true. Has there been an episode this entire season when an innocent person was actually found innocent, or a guilty person was actually found guilty? Because we've had time after time after time where guilty people are found innocent and innocent people are found guilty as the whole season of that. And it's really odd to just, again, sort of go into the Tropeville and like, yeah, okay, boy, that's exciting, but not if you do it every single week. And, I also had thoughts about the gay twist, which again is becoming a trope on this series, on top of like this season. This is the second time we've had like a big gay twist reveal at the last second. Because remember the first, the season premiere with Dylan Baker. And the other thing is, I think about it, unless I'm wrong, we've met 4 gay characters on the in the entire series. One of them is Jimmy's mom, who hasn't murdered anybody yet. But literally every other gay character has either murdered somebody or been very deep involved in a murder. Because you had Joey Herrick, you had this guy, and then you had Dylan Baker, who was certainly deep involved in the murder. So it's like, I don't know what they're trying to say there. It's sort of, it's odd. It just sort of, if we had other gay characters who were just there and that murder was not their defining characteristic, it wouldn't feel so awkward. But it sort of just does. So it sort of, rubbed me the wrong way. And of course, looking back at it, and you picked up on it too, the fact that he literally hid in a closet. I mean, come on. It's so silly. And
I almost feel like, sorry, I don't want to disrupt your train of thought, but I almost feel like it would be a worthy exercise for us, maybe at the end of the season, to make a little wheel or a randomizer, right, with our different tropes that we've picked out, and just spin the wheel and create an episode of the practice and see how plausible it is. Because I feel like we could do it.
Yeah, we definitely could. We definitely could. And in terms of Ellenor's story, I'm conflicted on that as well, because part of it is good and important storytelling, because women are facing situations like this all the time, every day. Every woman is dealing with a situation like this. But then to see the character so poorly treated, and again, is that a reflection of the time? Is it an honest reflection of what women are going through? Maybe. But it's tough to see all of, and when Ellenor pointed it out, like all the people in her life treated her like shit. They did not believe her. They half believed her. They sort of blamed her a little bit. They made it about something else. And that was all sort of ugly. So it's ugly for Helen. It's ugly for Kittleson. It's ugly for Rebecca. And it's a tough situation. And so it's hard to know exactly how to feel about that from the show's standpoint. I really did like that final scene where Ellenor's able to express her anger about it, and that everyone's thinking she's going to feel all these other things, and like, it's good for your client or whatever, or like, oh, I'm sorry about your friendship, or like, it's about your love life. No, she's fucking pissed because this should not have happened, should never happen to anybody, and you should be pissed about that. And I appreciated that was what the defining emotion that Ellenor had, and she fought for her right to feel that. And so I actually really liked that part of it.
It doesn't feel though like a little meta though, as if she's saying like, why does it have to be the storylines though? Like we've proven that Ellenor is a badass litigator, incredible in civil court and civil case. Like, why did we need this?
Well, and I think there's a point there, and you're right that the character of Ellenor, I was referencing it before, is like her defining characteristic, maybe even more than how badass of a lawyer she is how shittily she's treated by men.
Yeah.
And the women around. And she's treated shittily by men. She's treated shittily by women who expect men to treat her shittily, and for her not to care about that.
I just feel like in the first season or two, she was the, they played her like, oh, we're hearing that story, that voice from the overweight girl, the big girl, and even at Hollywood at the time, like she was an actress who was with a breakout role, who was not the cookie cutter ingenue that you're used to seeing on television. That was a thing. That was a thing. Yeah. Totally get it. But like now we're 6 seasons in and we're playing the same card. It's almost like, it's more powerful if that's not even a fucking thing. I don't give a shit who she's dating or not dating.
Exactly. So like it was great to start out by representing this type of a character at all. That this person is even on TV and allowed to do things, but that character was represented as a victim. The next step is that character is represented, but not as a victim and not defined by that thing.
Bingo.
And I think that is where the story, the age of the storytelling is very apparent. Because if I'm writing the practice revival, right? Ellenor, like she may deal with stuff related to not being the cookie cutter, sure, that's a good storyline, but that's not the defining characteristic of the character, and not everything that references the fact that she's not a cookie cutter should be about her being a victim. And I think that is, it's just where there's room to grow, where there's room to grow on this type of storytelling and this series. So I'll be very quick about the other case. I agree with you 100%. That case, had they just ended it with the acquittal, would have been so much better. Like, just if you just cut it before Jimmy goes back into the bathroom, that case is a interesting, cool, relevant case. And then they just shitted it up at the end with like Twisty McTwist, gay panic, that was just wildly unnecessary.
I have to say, because I had the thought and I didn't want to ruin the moment in the show, that it's still at least that beat, though I think that the reveal is unnecessary. It is still better than what I was afraid was going to happen, what I really thought was going to happen, which was Jimmy's hugging Miguel and the priest comes back in and there was a comedy beat about like Jimmy's like, I don't want you to think I'm gay because I'm hugging. Like, I thought there was a comedy beat coming and I was like, oh, please no. Oh, yeah, God, no.
That would have been even worse.
Yeah. If anything could be worse, that would have been it. But luckily we avoided that.
Yeah. So, anyway, it's hard to give it a number of tires because some of it was strong and some of it was not strong. And I liked parts of it and I didn't like parts of it. And, I feel like a lot this season, I'm saying that this season over and over again, where it's like, there's some stuff I really liked, but also it's hamstrung by something else here. So I'm going to give it 7.25 tires. Okay. Like I enjoyed it. Like I was compelled by it, just disappointed in the end, which is probably what happens to people who watch this. So folks, if you are compelled by us, but disappointed in the end, you can do us a big favor by telling us all about it. You can email us at outofpracticepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at outofpracticepodcast. And while you're at it, leave us a rating and review. Join the jury. Kittleson wants you to. She's scary. She'll come for you if you don't. Go on to Apple Podcasts or any other service of your choice. Let us know. We will read it on air. We will welcome you gratefully into the jury, no matter what happens. Speaking of people to which we are grateful, we would like to say that this episode is brought to you by founding sponsors Jorge Navoa, Cloud Lover 69, Leanne Wrights, Jennifer Masanova, and Kari Kuhn.
Did you know you can be one of them? Very easy to do. There are show notes, and generally speaking, there are links to subscribe for a monthly contribution or a one-time donation. If you don't want to give us any money, I totally understand that. You can also help by recommending us to a friend. Do you like Star Trek? You can check us playing with toys on our other YouTube show. Check out my Star Trek toys. You can find that on the KME Entertainment thing online. And if you wouldn't mind, reach down into that duodecimal system and find yourself a nice old non-fiction book on laser sounds.
I'm using these laser sounds to kill myself. Go Bruins!